Thank you, Ambassador Prakash. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me thank the organizer for thinking about Singapore, thinking about S. Rajaratnam School, and inviting me here. This is my first time in your university, and I hope to impress you with my brief remarks. But more importantly, the idea that we discussed just now among our panelists is that all of you have been enjoying your time in this hall, with us doing all the work. So the next hour or so, you have to ask a lot of questions, and we will try to meet your expectation. Anyway, what is Singapore doing here? We are a very small island. In fact, if you look at the map of Indian Ocean, you probably cannot find anything resembling Singapore because we are so small, it's just a little dot, maybe the size of your pinhead. However, Indian Ocean is an important part of Singapore because in the past, we used to be governed from Kolkata by the British, and so we know India quite well. After independence, we focus on developing our port, our transportation advantages, and we grew our trade, and now we are one of the top 20 trading nations in the world. So when you talk about trade, you need ocean, you need air flights connections, you need markets, you need capital and human resources. In all these aspects, Indian Ocean and the Indian Ocean Rim complies with our requirements, and we are therefore most interested in what happened in this big, big ocean called the Indian Ocean. I prepared some slides actually just to impress you, all right? Okay, the next slide. My researcher has deliberately colored this Indian Ocean in that size, although I think the geographer will disagree with the actual magnitude of the area covered. But the idea here is to show you that Indian Ocean is actually very big, if you don't really know it yet. Yeah, and it's, I think, after the Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean, it is the third largest ocean in the world. But therein lies the great potential of this area. So the idea here is to make the best of this region. And how do we do that? In the case of ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, we have 10 countries. We are very diverse. We have all kinds of religions, all kinds of culture, all kinds of political system, all kinds of ideas. Whatever you want, you can find them in Southeast Asia. And we are the regional body covering this region. So how do we manage this diversity and overcome all the difficult issues that we have with regard to 10 different governments and 10 different very nationalistic nations? The idea is to always taunt all the citizens of our 10 countries what it will be like to have good economic growth, to have a free market, to be able to move freely around the entire region, and to connect with the world and do our business. So basically, all these require a good vision, and more importantly, after the vision has been introduced, to implement the ideas in the vision. So in the last 50 years or so, next year, ASEAN is 50 years old. Our leadership in ASEAN has been able to captivate the population in our region to focus on economic growth, economic cooperation, and as a result of that, we treasure peace and stability very, very significantly. So far, we have managed to develop our Southeast Asian region relatively peacefully. Since the end of the Vietnam War in 1975, we have no major interstate war among us, And therefore, we are able to focus on the economic cooperation as well as to develop the necessary stability in our respective society. So looking at the Indian Ocean, we think that going forward, it will be most important for all the countries around the Indian Ocean rim to focus on peace, stability, and security. And after that, we can have economic growth, we can have good inflow of capital from outside this region to help us grow our respective economy and to develop jobs and create more and more opportunity for all of us. The next slide, please. In the past, we have always said that the Indian Ocean separates the civilization of South Asia and the West from Southeast Asia. But today, this ocean is very crucial for us. As you have heard throughout this morning, how much of the shipping, how much of the global business, as well as the transfer of goods from one part of the world to another part, passing through the Indian Ocean. So today, it is a big deal looking at Indian Ocean, but at the same time, as I want to stress, the potential of the Indian Ocean region is not yet fully utilized. In fact, it is terribly underutilized, and our numbers show that the potential in terms of intra-regional trade is only 20% realized. And if you compare this number with what we have achieved in ASEAN, where we have very little, and yet we maximize our potential, I think if we can focus in the next 10 to 20 years on developing good relations among the Indian Ocean countries, developing the economy and connecting all of us in the Indian Ocean region to the rest of the world, this Indian Ocean region will be a tremendous part of the global economy. Next, please. I know that my session today is about defense and security issues, but as you can discern from my past 5-10 minutes, my focus is on peace and economic development in order to have security and in order to grow our economy, in order to have bigger, better opportunity for all of us in the Indian Ocean region. So I have listed down here a couple of ideas, since the organizer also want us to put some recommendation for policy moves in the coming years. So the first idea I have there is capacity building to strengthen cooperation and business development. This may be a very simple idea, but those of you who study this will know that in many countries, the smallest company may not even have the model or the IT or other financing requirement to grow their business. There's no capacity. In some part of governments, in some of our least developed countries in the Indian Ocean region, there is no capability to do some of the things that we take for granted here in Pune or in India. The second bullet is about opportunity for the private sector to cooperate and expand trade and investment. One of the lessons we learned in ASEAN is that government can talk a lot, but if you do not have the cooperation of the business people or the private sector, the outcome that we desire may not be as great as can be. So it is important to find a way to motivate the private sector, and this is where connectivity across ASEAN region was important, and therefore connectivity across the Indian Ocean is very important. The third bullet basically talk about culture and heritage. We have heard this particular aspect this morning. So much of the culture and civilization of all our countries around the Indian Ocean have been shared by every one of us, and the opportunity for growing the cooperation in these countries using the history, the cultural heritage are so plentiful. So just have to focus on this. The bottom line is basically this region with all the countries in it are interdependent, and we have learned how to operate in a peaceful and coexisting manner. So if we can do this, and help to grow our respective communities, I think our security will be relatively much better than what would have been otherwise, and we may not have to spend so much money on defense. But anyway, the next slide, please. So the point here is to have the region more connected with one another, we must have good connectivity. Connectivity consists of physical connectivity, roads, railways, shipping lines, air flights, as well as across institutions, across people. So you have to develop this. And in ASEAN region, we are a small place. Our total population is about 600 over million people, but every year we receive about 105 to 110 million tourists from around the world, and they spend a lot of money in our region. So tourism is a big deal. I hope this is something that the Indian Ocean countries will further develop and help to contribute to their respective national development. I talk about people-to-people exchange, students and NGOs. I think all of you are studying here, and this university is a very international setting, but there are many other universities across the region which are very much based on national population. What you need is more exchanges across different universities and different countries, different borders, and this will help to bring our population in the Indian Ocean more closely and looking at all the opportunity which we can get from such kind of close cooperation and coexistence. My last bullet there is basically harnessing technology. Every one of you here has a handphone. Who does not have a handphone? Everybody has a handphone or mobile phone. Everybody. Not even one without a mobile phone. Sure? Okay, that means forever you are going to be saddled with globalization. So those of you who are anti-globalization better stop being anti. Because if you have a handphone or if you have a mobile phone, you are connected with one another. And if you look at the equipment, the mobile phone, every mobile phone is never made in one country. It is made in different parts of the world, come together in one place, assemble and sell it to you at the kind of prices that you can afford to pay. If you just make in one place, the phone is never within your reach because it's too expensive, right? So just remember, if anyone tell you we don't want globalization, you tell them, in other words, I will have no mobile phone, no handphone, no, I don't want to subscribe to that. Okay? So the idea here is using technology like mobile phone, cellular phone. In Singapore, we call it handphone. Yeah, you can connect and pass through, overcome all the obstacles about the distance and geography. So there you have it. Technology is critical, and going forward, this is what you need. And if you are involved all the time in just talking about, how to be better than the other country, try to outwit another guy, and not focus on coming together and work together, you will not be able to develop the kind of opportunity and have the kind of good life that we have. ASEAN today is the world's 7th largest economy. You don't believe it? It is after the USA, after China, after Japan, after Germany, after France, and after UK. In 5 years' time, we should be able to surpass UK and France. So, yeah, working together, thank you. Working together is important, and I think if we can just focus on this, it will help us develop our respective community, and our population will be much better off than where they are today. Thank you very much for your attention.